And we are back yet again. The hopefuls, the hope in the world is here, and it's me. And I have been reading this book of quotes, and I love quotes. I love to memorize quotes. I like to just have them available to aid someone, especially my nieces or someone in my family. You don't forget quotes. So I like to memorize quotes all the time. And the last time I went to the library, I collected this book, Great Quotes from Great Women, because we all need a few great quotes from a great woman. And every time I see a quote that jumps out at me, I write it down or I note it in my notes app. Sometimes it takes years to really grasp what has happened to you in your life. And what does that mean? I heard this quote that has been said, life is lived forward to backwards, yet it's understood backwards to forwards, meaning we reflect on our lives, we look back and we put things together and say, oh, this led me here, or maybe this is why I went through this. Or if you're me, you just erase it, because it can be so different that doesn't really matter if it goes together and works with everything else. However, this quote reminded me of me from Amy Poehler, which is as follows. I think if you can dance and be free and not embarrassed, you could rule the world. I like that quote. I think if you can dance and be free and not be embarrassed, you could rule the world. And of course you can, Chris. Of course. This is why I said it. Specifically for you. Let's say it one more time. If you can dance and not be embarrassed and be free, you can rule the world. And that's why exactly, me too. And I'm sure you're ruling your world just as I am ruling mine, because when it comes to dancing, Chris, are you the first one to jump on the floor? Because that's the defining factor. If you're one of the first, if you're one of the courageous people that hears the song when you're at the wedding and you're sitting at the table, maybe having a drink. If you're me, you're just drinking, I'm drinking water, but I'm getting my butt on the floor. Exactly. And the beauty in that moment is the first to feel that groove, that dance, to be on the dance floor, and to realize there's others that just won't. Because that embarrassment of, no, I don't want people to see me dance. Why? That's why you dance. You dance so others can see you dance. It's a group effort. Thank you, Makuba. And so the difference between the person who has the courage to be the first person on the dance floor versus the person that's just watching, wishing they were on the dance floor, but says, nah, I'm not going to do it. No, I don't want to be seen having fun. That's what you're really doing. You're not helping by not dancing. So go out and dance. Continue to like and share the live, because that stood out to me. That quote stood out to me, as well as another quote I saw as I was in line there was a woman in front of me with a tie-dyed green, mossy green shirt. And on the back of her shirt, it read, yes, you may, Chris. It read, great things are done by a series of things brought together. Great things are done by a series of things brought together. And that quote is from Vincent van Gogh. And it's true. Because with anything, it doesn't just happen. It takes that thought of seeing it when the song comes on and you're at the wedding and you're ready to dance and the song comes on and your elbows start, your shoulders just start doing this. And then you think about how much fun it will be to go out and start dancing. And then you get up from the table and you saunter onto the dance floor and then others gather. It's a series of things. And that can be with anything. I use the example of being at the wedding because we've been there. I've been to several weddings that I danced and drank so much, I had to be told after how much fun I had. I love that. When your heart decides to move, it will bring you closer. It will bring your mind to a dance. I love that. I love that. When your heart decides to move, it will bring your mind to a dance. That courage just to go and dance is the courage to do anything. Now, I love you. Don't have to give me much to dance. I'm going to jump on the dance floor. Yes, I do. I do. You moved, didn't you, Trent? You moved because I've walked past several times and I haven't seen you. So there's my courage as well. I believe this is a neighbor of mine when I was visiting my family in California. As you see, it's called Hope is Speaking for a reason because I enjoy the act of talking. I enjoy people. So I'm going to jump on the dance floor. I'm also just going to start a conversation. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And I've often heard my sister say, you talk too much. And, possibly. However, my response is, listen, I'm only saying something good. If people don't want to hear what you're saying, they will walk away. There's the difference. There's the difference. That same courage just to start the conversation is that courage to make any big change or movement in life. And how often we will limit ourselves because we'll have the thought and we'll just close it down. Yes. I told you. What? Wait a minute, Trent. You can't come on my lot. Listen, I'm about it, okay? I'm about it. I am not all talk. I am always going to fulfill what I say. I have my own way of doing it, but I'm built. Oh, there was this great quote. I'm built like a Rolls Royce. I don't know if that's a durable car. I would like to say I'm strong like bull. I'm strong like bull, Trent. However, yes, I showed up. So Trent was a happy recipient of a conversation had by me. When I take my sexy walks, which I say, because I love movement, oftentimes now it's rollerblading or walking, swimming. It's some sort of dedicated movement for a minimum of an hour a day. And I'm walking and I swing my arms because I feel if I'm doing that movement, I'm putting the maximum amount of effort in every stride. Instead of gingerly just taking a walk, no, I'm swinging my arms. I'm there. I'm intentional. I want every muscle to go boom, boom, boom. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, as I'm walking, what's up, T Wheeler? As I'm walking, I see this gentleman, and he was outside with another young woman. Now, I will refer to people as kids if you're under 30. So if you're definitely under 25, you're like uh, very young. Um, is it? Can you hear me? And so as I saw him, let me know if you can hear me because you say my sound is muted. I would not like to be muted, but put a happy face or microphone in the chat so I know I am not muted. Uh, because if I don't see that, okay. Okay, thank you. So as I'm walking, I see Trent and another uh, young lady is with him, and they're outside. Now, I always believe things just come to me. And I always see a time for a conversation. So Trent and his friend were outside enjoying a herbal cigarette. I always call it a herbal cigarette. And I thought, a herbal cigarette break is an exceptional time to start a conversation. And this goes back to being the first on the dance floor. Um, it's that thought of, hey, let me start this conversation. Let me be open to this. What can we learn from each other and enjoy the herbal cigarette? And so, let me just double check. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is very nice of you, Bree. So I stopped and we began to talk. And I first said, hey, can I enjoy your herbal cigarette with you? And they were like, yeah. I always ask because everyone shows up differently. So they invited me to enjoy their herbal cigarette, and we began to talk. And I don't know what we started speaking about, Trent. However, I think I just went in and said, like, oh, I'm here visiting my parents. I'm taking a walk, and I smelled the herbal cigarette, so I said hi. And then we began to talk about travel. That's what it was. And I had shared with them, I am from that same hometown. However, I had been gone for years because once I made the decision to become a flight attendant, it was my goal to explore the world, explore myself, and grow. Again, like being the first on the dance floor, I had to take a grand gesture, a grand step into finding out something new about myself. Because at that time, I felt, as we often do when we are young, my hometown did not have more to offer me. And I chose to challenge myself and say, I want to learn from the world, from traveling the world, from being there, not in the books. I want to be there. And I remember my hairstylist at that time. I told her, I think I want to be a flight attendant. And within a month, I think it was 2 weeks, I told her, hey, I'm going to be leaving to start flight attendant training because I'm becoming a flight attendant. And she said, Hope, you always say these things and then you make it happen. And it's the same thing as being the first on the dance floor. Thinking it and then just jumping into action. So I remembered when I joined the airline and I was leaving. I've shared this on my live before. The night before, I was going to flight attendant training for 2 months in Chicago. I remember crying. I remember incessantly just bawling. And the tears were because I knew I had to leave what was familiar. I knew for this new way of life, for these new lessons, for these new obstacles, for a new me, I truly would have to walk away from what I had known and what that means. Think about that time where you said, I'm going to this school far away from my hometown, or I'm accepting this job, or I'm choosing to make this move and I'm sad about it, but it's for me. And I remember crying and also feeling this source of excitement, this source of newness, this source of wonder of what was in front of me. And I knew for what was in front of me, I had to completely leave what had gotten me to that point. And now I don't believe you ever leave it. It's never gone. It's always within your memory. You can always visit. But there is a feeling of letting go. And I cried and I was excited. I'm going to Chicago for 2 months, and then the world is mine. And I was sharing this with Trent as I encountered Trent and his friend on my sexy walk. Now I do too. I love my movement. So typically early in the morning, first thing in the morning, I get to moving, and then in the evening as well. And thank you, Lee. What's up, Lee? I haven't seen you in a minute. And yes, I am. Okay. Yes, I am. If I'm lying, I'm flying and I'm on the ground. Okay. So I'm telling the truth. However, as I shared with Trent and his friend, who are significantly younger than me, I think they had just graduated within the past 4 or 5 years, high school. It was that beauty of, yeah, maybe I can do that too. Maybe I could do that too. And this is why I love to speak. Because sometimes all you have to do is hear that word from someone familiar or someone who speaks that similar language or someone that looks similar or someone that has a cool, unique factor where within that moment, they inspire you to say, hey, let me try. So that's why I talk to everyone. And people like to talk to me. So as we continued to speak about this, I told them some of the things that I had learned while traveling, which is always quite colorful. And it's beautiful that you have joined the live because you added to my day in that moment. And thank you for coming and saying, hey, I see you saying what you were going to do, because that's all it is. It's showing up. It's showing up and doing it. Now, it sounds a lot easier because that thing called consistency it's different for all of us. I think there's a beauty in finding what consistency is for you. Because I had said this when I went to the TikTok building with PMW Live, the agency I'm with, and we were filming within the TikTok headquarters, and it was very cool, and it was beautiful lighting. I love color. Exactly. Thank you, Lee. Say that again. When you love yourself, no one can change you. However, let me add on to that. When you love yourself, you wouldn't even know if someone was trying to change you, because it's not about someone trying to change you. If you love yourself, you're not even aware, because you are aware of how you feel and taking care of yourself. And it would be less of that outside validation and only relying on you for validation. So In that moment with consistency, I remember being asked how often, thank you, Bruce, how often do you go live? And I immediately said, I do not have a schedule because I don't like being told what to do. However, I do show up. And it is true for me. I will show up within my time. And also, being authentically me is showing up within my consistency. It may be every day at different times of the day. However, you'll see my golden face. You definitely will. And I say that because, yeah, I don't like being told what to do. I don't. That is the catalyst for why I do what I want to do. However, if you want to do what you want to do, there's a freedom in that that also carries a sense of be prepared to make that happen. That's okay. Most people are okay with that. So I'm not, listen, this is for me. I do not claim to be similar to anyone else. I believe individuals just show up. People are just people. If people or companies like to streamline something for the good of a bottom line, I completely understand that. Business is business. I'm never against that. I am a daughter of a capitalist. So, as far as order in some sort, yes, there are avenues where that's necessary. Sure. If you don't like it, then you don't do it. That's just it. If you are a part of it, then that's the role you have to fulfill, such as with a uniform. A uniform is that it's unique. It's one. It's one. It's supposed to be all of the same. And when I would fly, there were individuals that would say, oh, well, the uniform, I change it and do this. And with this uniform, they need to do this. I never really cared about that. I understood what I was signing up for, and I understand the need for a uniform. That is not going to take the energy of my day to be a conscious thought. Because if it is, that will take a lot of my energy during the day, during the course of my employment, because you're always going to put on a uniform. So you will always have something to say about the uniform. It's just a uniform. On my time away from the company when I was flying, I am comfortable dressing however I choose to dress. However, if there's a uniform, I wear the uniform and I make it look great, by the way. Thank you for liking the live. Continue to like the live and share the live. In fact, today, actually, you know how I love my vintage. I have my trusty Levi's because I love my vintage Levi's jeans. I've had every jean. I had like probably 200 pairs of vintage Levi's. However, I just had to donate them because what am I going to do with all those Levi's in Hawaii? However, I have this and this cool vintage. I sure will. Thank you, Lee. This vintage bathing suit with the bows on the side. It's quite cute. Let me show you the back because it's fabulous. Let's see. Little back moment, you know. So self-perseverance. Well, Lee, what does that mean to you? Because of course I could talk about that. Perseverance is a trait that I believe I do well with. However, it's comes down to if you want to do it. If I don't want to do something, I'm probably not going to do it. Or I find a way to enjoy something about the act. So if it's washing the dishes, I can enjoy the smell of the dish soap. If it's vacuuming a room, I can enjoy the motion with the vacuum. Instead of focusing on liking the act, I can shift into just what do I need to accomplish, so it doesn't matter if I like the action or not. This is the goal. It needs to be done. And I remember exactly Samantha Williams. I had heard my sister say, "Oh, well, I'm not going outside. It's hot." Yeah, so what? Typically during summer, it's hot. However, if something needs to get done, it just has to get done regardless of that, Sam. And I would love for you to tell the story. I have to tell this story because I started off with that quote from Vincent van Gogh, which says, "Great things are done by a series of things brought together." So, my sister is with my family currently, and they drove to LA. And I speak oftentimes, especially about my mother. She's quite animated, and I am grateful that I have a animated family. Thank you. Oh, good, 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 girl. Thank you, thank you. See, my family is bigging me up. That's my sister, Samantha Williams, 869. So she told me that she was driving my parents because she graciously and patiently helps and aids my parents in their everyday lives, and was driving them to LA. And she had told them, "Hey, at this exit, I am going to hop off this freeway and, oh, is it? Okay. Okay. So let me know if it is. Okay. So, so somebody, well, then, Trent, that's your phone. That's your phone. Does everybody else? Yeah, let's see everybody else in the. What's up, Nikki? What's up, Nikki? Good to see you, Nikki. How do I sound? Do I sound clear? Because I, it's your phone. See, Trent. See, this is the thing. Now I'm gonna jump to another subject. This is why I don't listen to people. You see, this is why I don't listen to people, because I've had this happen with another sister. Exactly. And the other sister said, "Hey, I can't hear you." I said, "But it's you." I know you are, Trent. But this is why I don't listen to people, because people will be telling you stuff. It don't even apply to you. It don't apply to you. That's the hope wisdom. This is why I don't listen to people. And I tell them, well, Nikki, well, I'm not even going to respond to that, Nikki. I'm not going to respond to that. However, you got to know who to listen to. And I've shared this with my sister. Okay, see, Joy for Life, I could trust you. Sam, I could trust you. Nikki, I could trust you. Trent, I can't trust you. You don't know what you're doing, because everybody's saying I'm clear. So I'm going to continue, okay? This is why you got to question the source. Yeah. You got to listen. This is how I got to be to get to where I need to get to, Trent. You just got to tell people you aren't, you're lovely. You're lovely. However, in this regard, thank you for your feedback. How about that? Knowing who to listen to. And I this example always stands out because While in Hawaii, I was still flying while I was living in Hawaii. So, okay, all right, DMV, thank you. At first, I was like, "You're at the Department of Motor Vehicles? What are you? They're open this late?" Obviously not, the DMV. And then I should share a lovely story about the DMV because the DMV always treated me well, and I enjoyed my time in the DMV. So while I was living in Hawaii, I was still flying. However, I would fly out of Honolulu. So I would drive from my home to the airport in Maui, park my car, take an 18-minute flight that was free because I was a flight attendant. So I would take any airline. We can fly on any airline to Oahu, Honolulu. And from there, I would work my flight from Honolulu to LA, layover, come back, LA to Honolulu, get off the flight, Honolulu, take the 18-minute flight back to Maui, and I would be done. That's what's called commuting. Several flight attendants do this. So there's many flight attendants that may be based in one city but live in a different state, city, or even country. However, for the fact that I was constantly going to the airport and had been in the career of flying for 15 years, I really know about timing and airports. And I learned that this is when you need to question who you're listening to, because a friend came to visit me and she said, "Hope, how long does it take me to get to the airport?" And I said, "Oh, well, where you're from, where you're staying, it won't take you more than 15, 20 minutes tops. So if you gave yourself an hour, that's more than enough time. I mean, you don't really need that much time." She said, "Great." Yeah. I used to fly out of BWI National and Dulles, predominantly Dulles, but out of BWI and National as well. And when I would go see my sister in New York when I lived in DC, I would always fly out of National, because National, I could just take the train in, and National always had those short flights to LaGuardia. However, I know a lot about airport timings. So this same friend asked someone who never goes to the airport. This person will come and pick up their grandchildren twice a year from the airport. And she asked the person, "How long does it take for me to get to the airport?" And the person said, "Oh, well, you got to give yourself 2.5 hours. And I thought, I don't think you understand discernment. Or I how does that person know the time that you need to take to get to the airport? Number one. Why do you feel that that information is valid? Number two. And that's really it. Because the friend said, "I need 2.5 hours to get to the airport." I said, "But okay, sure. However, if I'm a flight attendant that lives here, that goes to this airport twice a week, minimum once a week, wouldn't the information I give have more weight than someone who only picks up their grandchildren twice a year from the airport and doesn't live near the airport?" Help me understand how this person's information is valid. And this is coming back to, you have to know who you're listening to. Sure, both of us are correct. Both of us have correct information. But I would listen to the person that works at the airport. I don't know if I would take the information from someone who does not visit the airport often. And that comes back to know who you're listening to, or if they actually have expertise in the information that you need. Because if they don't, the information just may not be beneficial. But if you're unaware, then you will take it as something as useful information. So, with BWI, let's talk about BWI, because BWI was like the phantom airport while I was based in DC. When you are first a flight attendant, you're on reserve, which means you know the days you're working. However, you don't know where you're going. So you know as of midnight Tuesday, I am on call. So I will be called and assigned a trip, and there's legalities. They may call you and give you an 8 hours notice. However, BWI was always feared because it was so out of the way. And I remember just taking the courage when I got the call. You have a BWI trip. I said, okay, what time? 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Great. Early in the morning. Now, this is the mid-2000s. This is 2006. So Google Maps was not really a thing. Uber wasn't a thing, and I did not drive. I did not have a car while living in the DMV area. So I went online and I looked how to get to BWI because at that time, I think I was in the district. Yeah. By then, I believe I was like 14th and P, Thomas Circle. Or I might have still been in Alexandria. However, I had to figure out how to get to BWI. And I had never been to BWI. I don't believe I had the ability to take a cab to get to BWI. So I remember getting up early and saying, okay, I got to figure this out by 6 a.m. You just have to figure it out. Yeah, well, Greenbelt, I was coming from the Van Dorn station in Alexandria. So Greenbelt is in Maryland. There was no way that I would go into Maryland to come back down into BWI. What I ended up doing was taking the train, I believe, to Union Station. And I didn't know, but I learned because I had to figure it out. From the station, when I was in uniform, my flight attendant uniform, I could take the train. I think it was the Acela Express or the Amtrak to BWI. And it was a nice gentleman who was the train conductor. Yes. And I said, hey, I got to get to BWI. I've never been to BWI, but I have to get there. He said, no, it's fine. Yeah, I'll get you there. And you're in uniform. Just get on. And he didn't charge me. I took the Acela Express as long as I was in uniform. So I had been fearing this journey to get to BWI. Although I knew I would make it happen, it was those steps of, I got to figure this out. I don't have the money to take the cab to BWI. That would have been probably $100 at the time. There was no Uber. I got to figure it out. And then the confidence of figuring it out. That confidence of, whoa, that was easy. That settled feeling of, and if I wear my uniform, they'll let me take the trade for free. Wow. All of these things I learned by being the first on the dance floor, which is what I opened with, just having the courage of, I got to figure it out. There is no other time to worry or say, I don't know how, what will happen if. You got to figure it out. And what that births in you after you figure it out. Like, wow, I did it. I figured it out. I figured it out. And even that beauty of not knowing, but knowing you will figure it out. When I say I only do what I want to do, that's not, I mean, it may not always serve me well. However, there is always a lesson to be learned from it. I think I tried to take that train again another time, and the conductor was like, no such thing. Just because you're in uniform, you can't just ride the train. I was like, well, somebody else said I could. I mean, okay, sure. But I already knew I was going to get to where I was going. So I don't let the small stuff take me off track. And I also, that first year of flying, and it was the first year of flying. It was the first year of living outside my home state. It was the first year of living as an adult on my own and figuring all of that out. And yesterday I shared the story of how I had a roommate move out on me. Well, I've had that happen twice. These things happen. However, I had a roommate move out on me while I was on a London trip, and I came back and she'd moved out and she had moved all the stuff. However, all of the things that were in our townhome was donated to us. So she had it wasn't mine and it was not hers either. It was donated from Salvation Army. So I was quite sad that she took the vacuum cleaners, both of them, because I loved to vacuum. However, going through those things of having someone move out and then saying, well, technically she stole everything, but so what? Figure it out. What are you going to do now? Yes, it's terrible. Yes, this is a situation I've never been in. I've never actually lived on my own. And now this. And then learning every state has different laws as far as eviction processes and how quickly they move. And your rights as a tenant or a renter, all of these things. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. And feeling that strength of, whoa, I figured it. But here's the thing, Nikki. It's not, to me, I don't see it as that. I see it as the lesson that I learned and what I grew into from it. It's not a shame. I saw her later and told her, of course you would do that. Someone like me will continue to soar. Someone like you, I don't know. Was that kind of a hole-ish statement? Slightly, but I'm bold in that way. I don't care how people show up. I will figure it out. People just show up with the best thinking they have in that moment. Oftentimes, it's not because of us, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm not going to throw my hands up and say I'm moving back home with my parents. No, I'm figuring this out. There's something I'm learning from this. Oh, I can sublet? Okay, I'll sublet each room. And then I only have to pay $100 for my complete overhead. I figured it out. I'm a smart cookie. I'm fiercely intelligent. And I wouldn't have known unless I was put into that event. So I don't ever speak about the other person so much. It's more of what I learned, how I grew, what I can now utilize for my benefit, how I can share this with my niece who's moving and in these 20s. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've had that happen. And this is what I did. Life will go on. You have to learn to figure it out. And if that's what I think it was Jeff earlier who was talking about, good evening, Mag. Good to see you. You know, now the security's in the building. Anything that is not uplifting, positive, enlightening, joyful, and just inspiring, you will be asked to leave. And by that, meaning you will be escorted out. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. And I love that. I will figure it out. I don't care what happens to me. I will figure it out. And I will tell myself, I'm figuring this out. I'm figuring this out. Sometimes it's through a conversation with another person. Oftentimes I've figured enough stuff out to know that I can figure it out. And the beauty within yourself of knowing that you can figure your life out, or this situation out, or the problem out, or finding the solution that's best for you. That's best for you, because my solution may not be the most beneficial for you. Sure, find your most beneficial solution. How do you do that? By stopping and thinking. Just think. Just think. Think about the outcome that you would like. But really stop and think. Be silent and think. I find at times the rush into the solution is you're missing the point. Yes, act on your solution and give yourself time to think, to figure it out. You got it. We have gotten to this point in our lives, so there's really nothing that you cannot figure out. Yes. Thank you, Trey Day. We as people adjust. That's a beautiful thing. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Listen, sun, light, sky, dance. The job is yours. You're going to interview them. Even changing it that way, being that secure in faith of, yeah, I'm going to interview them. This job is mine. I'm perfect for this. I'm perfect for this. I was made for this. They are lucky to have me. I'm an asset to this company. Of course, this is a breeze. I feel great. I know everything that I am saying tomorrow is perfectly placed. And setting that as the intention and knowing that that's it. That's it. I will fit. And getting past, will I have figured it out? Because our word choice is just as useful. Instead of I will figure this out, I have. I have figured this out. I have the solution. I have the solution in every moment. I allow the space for the solution to present itself. I'm open. There are times where we may be trying to figure something out. However, all we need is just expansion. All we need is expansion. All we need is a knowing that it is done without knowing how it is done. You're welcome. Thank you, Jackson. knowing that it is done without knowing how. Because if you think in our, sure, I think listen, Cece, I don't consciously think about any movement. However, to do something that you don't feel that you can do means you must think differently. You must think in a way that may be uncomfortable for even you. If that's delusion, sure. If that's assurance, sure. If that's confidence, sure. If that's self-perseverance, sure. However, the thinking will have to be slightly uncomfortable, or just fiercely believe, like, of course I can do this, because you can. I don't really advise people on what to do because I'm nuts. If I'm going to do something, yeah, do it. Quit and go do it. I would. I don't expect someone to do that. When I ran the New York City Marathon, it was 2 weeks before the marathon. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I entered a lottery to see if I could get in. I got in. Okay, so I'm going to do it. It's not like, oh, I could never do that. I'm in. That's just it. Just you start at start and stop at finish. It is I do not see anything negative in the comfort of security. However, I just don't see security because things can change. So I will always take the risk, to take the chance for something more quote unquote secure. I would not tell myself, you know what, this where I'm at is a secure place. This job is secure. I'm good. I would not. Maybe for a certain amount of time. However, if there's something that I want, I will just make it happen. It's not for anyone else to understand. And I think that's where this delusional thing comes in. If someone doesn't understand, that's to be expected. What's for you is for you. Someone outside of your being won't see it. They have their own life path. They have their own thoughts and opinions and everything that got them to this moment. Not everyone will get it. They're not supposed to. If I am still on wanting someone to understand what I see for my life, I need to work on that. Because that's not for someone to always see. Just make it happen and show them. And that may be extreme. For me, that's somewhat extreme. But I like the strength and confidence I find in myself from building new. I don't stay down for long as well. And I remember someone saying, oh, I don't like starting new things. Thank you for sharing the live, Mag. Thank you for continuing to like the live. Let's get up to 10. Let's double it, guys. Someone saying, I don't like starting things because I don't like that unfamiliar feeling. And I thought, well, then you'll never start anything because that is a part of it. It doesn't stay. It's just a part of it. And there you go. There we go. You know what? I like that. Thank you. There's a relentlessness that once it's bred, it's difficult to let go of. because only you can see what's for you. And in that, the goal is trusting what's for you is for you. And also trusting that in every thing that you're doing, working towards something, whatever it is, that it's small and incremental. It doesn't just happen in an hour. And I've talked about this, how we misjudge time. It happens when it happens. As long as you're doing the incremental work, it's happening. However, it's often in a different timeline than we may see it, or for myself, how I may see it. But it's not about the time. It's about it happening. The fact that it's accomplished is the goal, not the time that it takes. And these things can always change. It doesn't always have to be this astronomical goal of creating the best chocolate cake or whatever you choose for it to be. However, it may be something within yourself. The goal is to just accomplish it. Forget the timeline. The timeline won't coincide with you or for me. Oftentimes, my timeline, how I see things, and how they actually come about, it's two completely different things. However, what you learn and what you grow into and what you experience and who you meet and the versions of you that are birthed in that time is also a part of it. And there is a saying from Gandhi that says, the journey is the goal. The journey is the goal. The goal is really the journey. And with anything, that constant movement, maybe it's self-doubt. A lot of times it's not linear. It goes like this and maybe it stops and then you pick up steam and then things move, but it's always happening. It's happening now. It's happening as I speak. It's always happening. And to remind yourself, it is happening. Now, you also are putting in the works to it. Even if it's daily 1 minute something. When I set out to speak, to become a professional speaker, I had put superimposed a picture of me on a TED background of the TED stage, so for my TED Talk. And I had printed out the TED logo and I put that on a vision board. And I would write in my journal like it had happened. I am so incredibly happy for my TED speech that I performed. It felt so good. Sometimes that feels uncomfortable until it actually happens. I am still doing the conscious work daily. I was still speaking daily. I was still making my rounds, whether it was in Toastmasters or other local groups where I would speak, and knowing TED would happen. I never said it hasn't happened, it will never happen. No, it happens when it happens. So when it arrived, it was perfectly on time for it. What's up, I am Frey? Good to see you, girl. It happens as it happens. And really now, I enjoy the process. Well, I don't know. See, yeah, Pablo, that is beautiful. However, I don't know what people think about it. That's these sayings. We don't think about this enough. I don't know what people think about. Maybe they do. Things are temporary, but what's temporary? Temporary could be 1 minute or it could be 10 years. A car is temporary, but for the life of the car, it seems like this lengthy amount of time. Life is temporary, but it's again your experience. That can be a powerful space of motivation. Like, this is temporary, so I'm making this happen. This is temporary, so I'm going to try to do this. This is temporary, so why not? Why not try? Why not? Why not me? And what's up, Detroit, Sean? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. I say that all the time. Why not me? Why not? Of course. Of course me. Of course it would be me. Thank you. Thank you for my heart hands. Why not me? Of course me. It would be great to be me because it is me. It's perfect for me. I'm always happy to see you too as well, Detroit, Sean. And saying that to yourself. I had shared this with my sister. I am so accurate with my thoughts because thoughts become things and words become things. There's certain things I'm not going to think about, let alone say. However, if I did have a thought like, why is this happening to me? I will automatically say, only the best things happen to me. I am so lucky. Just that automatic complete opposite of whatever negative thing you were saying or thinking. Why is my body this way? Why is my body so perfect? Why do I feel so healthy? Why do I feel so good in this day? Just that immediate opposite. It may feel uncomfortable, but it should feel uncomfortable saying that awful negative thing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll always be a sunshine. I'm a ray of light, baby. I'm a ray of light, but I keep it moving. I told someone that. They said, Hope, yes, put positivity out in the world. Someone said, Hope, I was thinking about you the other day, and now I see you. Hope walked into my life. I said, well, what do you need to tell me? Because Hope is moving. Hope is on the go. Baby, I got to go. What do you need from me now? Because I got to go. Okay? What do you got to tell me now? You better tell me now, because I'm leaving. I don't stick around for too long, okay? I got stuff to do. I got fruit to eat, and I probably have a pool or a beach to swim in, okay? So what do you got to tell me? Tell me something good. And I'm reminded of this because my sister and my mom were talking, and they said how I reminded them that I don't take any negativity. Listen, I put a stop at that immediately. Don't call me with no bad news. Do not call me to tell me who died. Don't call me to gossip. Don't call me. I always say, don't call me to ask me about the weather. Let's talk about something engaging, fun, light. But if you just want to, what you doing? No, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't never doing nothing. Then get off my phone. Don't call me for that. What are we doing? I'm not going to answer your call. And how that has created my perfect life, because now people know, I'm not calling Hope for no nonsense. I'm not going to pick up. I'm not picking up the phone. You hear me? You think I'm picking up the phone for that? And I got a lot of practice in this. I got a lot of interesting, unique family members. There's a reason why I'm so positive and how I can just tune out. I had said this to a friend of mine. It just seems that there's anger. There's a lot of anger. And I understand. We carry anger. We carry things with us our entire lives. But ask yourself, what are you carrying? And do you need to carry it? And why am I angry? What is my anger bringing me? Is this beneficial? Because anger can teach you something. It can tell you something. It can show you something. However, anger is not supposed to always be there. And I was speaking to a friend and I had said, you can see anger as a coach. Like a basketball coach, it coaches you, but then they're not there. They're there to lead and guide and maybe set a, help you become accountable. However, they leave. To firmly hold on, especially to anger, often doesn't bring anything beneficial. And the choice of just saying, I choose not to put my energy there. I choose not to. Whether you cut it in front of me as I'm driving, I probably won't notice it. And if I do, I will immediately tune it out. The moment that I allow something that small to create discomfort in my body, allows the rest of the day a wide open door to continue to build on that. And thank you. Thank you, Matt. Look at you. You see, the hopefuls are the best. And Mag is one of the founding hopefuls. Mag, as well as I Am Frey, Detroit Sean, you come around. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You see with the strong arm, they took it off of the example of my arm, that emoticon. Choosing just not to put energy into BS. And as a flight attendant, that was a lesson. The flight attendant I was the first couple of years. Because the first couple of years, I wouldn't say I was the model flight attendant. The last 10, maybe the last 7 to 10 years I was. The last 5 years I was stellar. And I was always an amazing flight attendant. However, you are met with so many things the moment you put on your uniform. Because I would say at the moment I put on my uniform, I am like a public figure. If I was in New York and I was taking the subway, it opened the line of communication because people would see you with your uniform. As soon as I would walk in to the airport, I am on, because I have the uniform. So individuals would come to me and ask me, where's my gate? Can you help me with this? How do I do that? And being always aware that I am like on. And not taking things personally, especially in the airport. It can be an uncomfortable place. You don't have much freedom, especially when you're on the plane, you know? And boarding, people getting settled, putting their luggage away, delays, summer travel. When I first started flying, that taught me a lot, because summer travel is when families would save all year to go to grandma's or to go to the beach or go to Disneyland. So they're not necessarily seasoned travelers. However, there's a stark difference between that summer traveler and the business person who does San Francisco to New York every week, twice a week. If there's a delay, that business traveler is not phased. They usually have some snacks with them, or they'll get on the app and straighten out their flight. However, that family that saved the entire year to fly to the beach, if there's one delay, it stands out a bit more. That's beautiful too, Frame God. Thank you. The best traveler is the artist who travels through their passion. Yes, I love that. That's fly. And also Christmas travelers. Like the last few years, probably the last 7 years of flying, I would not be in the airport after December 21st because you can feel the anxiety of people buying the gifts and going to see family and running out of money and all of these things. Yes. So I would at times laugh because during Christmas, this is when, especially in JFK, I always remembered it in JFK because JFK, all airports you see these things. However, JFK, there's characters. So there would be people on standby flights or they had misjudged traffic and they would be running down the concourse to the gate crying like, wait, hold the flight, like grown people just bawling. And it was funny to me. However, it's not very funny. It was just the severity of the situation. Possibly. Okay. Sure. Yeah, where's Kevin? Exactly, that too, like Home Alone. However, to see someone like slide in, like on their knees, like, let me on the flight, it's hilarious. But the great thing about holiday travel, when I had to work holiday travel, which I never really did, customers would be great. And this is the beautiful thing with human beings. They will always surprise you. So if I don't ever remember working on Christmas. There was one Christmas where I flew in, but I was always off way before. However, if I had to, customers would come and bring the whole crew Starbucks cards or gifts or jewelry or perfume. I mean, all sorts of gifts. Furthermore, duty free, when duty free used to be sold on the flights internationally, now this was a flex. This is what the kids call a flex. When I was based in London, all of the business people who would travel between London and LA, San Fran and LA, they would buy things from the duty-free cart, which was on the plane. And knowing me, if someone was buying a bunch of stuff from the duty-free catalog, I would casually say, so what? Can I just throw in my gift? And they would say, sure, choose whatever you would like. And I had every fragrance from the duty-free cart. I didn't get the La Prairie skin cream, but I was always getting the gifts from duty free, which was fantastic. And I'm going to shoot my shot. If you are buying all this 6, 7, 8 perfumes, you can buy one more. And I'm going to ask, don't you want to get one for me? I never heard anyone say no. Okay? That's the thing. You just got to ask. With the intention of hearing yes. It sure is, I am free. Yes, it is. It was awesome. Those... the LA London flights. That was the flight where I oh yeah. So this was a change point. When I was working for a flight from LA to London. I was working in business class. And I thank you. I am free. It was a full flight. a 777. I was still new-ish, maybe 3, 4 years into flying, not too many years. So when you're working LA to London, it's a night flight. So we'll leave from LA at say 7 p.m. and arrive in London 7 or 8 a.m. that following day. So a crew would typically be 12, let's say 14 people. So half, you start your flight, we do the initial beverage service. So the initial beverage service is international drinks, your pretzels, your hot meal. Then we pick that up. Then we would go out with ice cream and water, and then we would pick that up. And then we would go out with coffee and tea, and then you go and pick that up with the trash carts, and you're done. That would take maybe an hour to 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. After that, half of the crew would go on crew rest or break. Meaning there are these bunks in these planes where you can't see them, but we can. And there's a door with a code. We put in the code. We open the door. We walk downstairs or upstairs, depending on the aircraft. And there are sleeping bunks. So we get, let's say if it's a LA flight, maybe 4.5 hours of break. And people go to sleep, they'll put on their pajamas. Then you get up, brush your teeth, get back in the cabin or wherever you're working. And the other half of the crew goes on break for an additional 4.5 hours. Then once that crew gets up, they clean themselves up and we would have our arrival service. So after both breaks, most of the flight had gone by and we would have our arrival service, which is coffee, tea, and like a croissant and a piece of fruit. So I was working in business class and I served a gentleman and then I went on break. I was on first break. So when I woke up and the second breakers went down, it was still nighttime. So all of the shades were down in the plane. The plane is absolutely dark. And this is why we are up and there's lighting and we have flashlights and we'll walk the cabin and give out water and just make sure people are okay. So once the second breakers got up, we were going into our arrival service. So in business class, I believe it was a choice of an omelet or a waffle and coffee and tea. And passengers start pulling up their window shades. And a friend of mine said, Hope, I think you need to come look at the passenger in 3 Bravo. And I was like, well, why are you telling me? I'm not the lead flight attendant, but okay. I can settle everything on the plane, sure. And I remember walking up to the gentleman in this seat and touching his shoulder and saying, sir, and as soon as I touched his shoulder, I knew there was a difference in him. Because he was completely cold. And this gentleman had transitioned. He had died probably 2 hours into the flight, 2-3 hours into this 11-hour flight. And because it was an all-night flight, it was dark and the window shades were down. So you would not be able to tell. It looked like he was sleeping. Now, because this is like a 10.5, 11-hour flight, rigor mortis had set in. So, upon arrival service, window shades go up, flight attendants see the change of color of his skin, and come and grab me, and I froze. I froze. Because how do you react to that? And I remember it feeling unfamiliar because I had talked to this gentleman earlier in the flight, and I had never seen someone green. And now it was just a body. And it started this existential crisis. No, this is a different one. Like, this has happened a few times with me. So this is a different one. This was the first time. And I remember when exactly there isn't. There is never training for this. And I remember standing there frozen. And one of the flight attendants, actually, two of the flight attendants were travel nurses on the side. And so they said, Hope, help us get him onto the ground so we can go into first response. And I just was frozen. I just did not know how to figure that out. And the thought of that this was a human being, a soul, and now it's just a body. Like there's no cognitive function. They went into first response. Flight attendants, usually any health professional. Yeah, exactly. He had been expired. And they went into first response, and I remember hearing that, because when you give CPR, you often crack bones, and I can see the whole scene as I'm explaining it, and just hearing that and just being frozen, like, whoa, what does this? Yeah, and I had spoken to this person, and now this person didn't expect this. This person had worked for Disney, and they were coming from LA to do something, and the finality in that. And what I took from that is that's how it happens. There's no text message that you get that says, Hope, listen, you're going to have a fruitful 96 years and you'll transition easily at 96. No, you actually don't know. And I remember not actually knowing the label to what I was feeling. And yeah, it was traumatic. Unless you're in a profession where you're expected to see, what's up, 1%, what's up? Expected to see cadavers or loss of life. As a flight attendant, you're typically not thinking that that's going to happen. Many flight attendants who flew quite longer than me had never seen that. And I took lessons from that. However, I do just remember, thank you. I appreciate that. I need it. Thinking like, what is this thing called life? Like, what is this? If that's how it goes, and that's like, how am I supposed to see this? Like, all of these things that will go through your mind. Now, it also helped, this situation helped with mental health, because I did not know this person, and yet I was affected. Seeing death. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I bet that did. Wow. I am free. Wow. Yeah, it changes the perspective. And in that moment, because of how I saw it, I was used to seeing, yeah, and how do you? There is no training that really prepares you for that. Yes, I am. I'm traveling. I'm safe from the fire. Thank you for asking. I am safe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There is no training that trains you with, to see a body that's gone into rigor mortis or to that's something that afterwards you learn how to process. However, I don't know if there is a training for that. It happened to me again after, and I knew the tools to utilize to comfort me. However, there's really no way to just be prepared for that. And every country, here's the other thing, because I've had a few passengers expire on me. Every country deals with death differently. Now, if you possess a U.S. passport and something happens to you, the U.S. will bring you back to the U.S. Meaning, if you expire or transition on a plane or somewhere else, the U.S. would typically just make sure your body gets back. Now, how you sort out your arrangements once you're back, that's one thing. What's up, Counselor Cat? Wow, good to see you. Yeah, but that's not every country, because I shared when this happened in Brazil. Brazil, yeah, there's so much you learn about that once it happens. Now, because this had happened in the UK, none of us could leave the plane. So, passengers left the plane, but the crew was on because the coroner had to come, a health inspector had to come, another health official. It was something for the UK practices. And I was like, where are they? Because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get off this plane as soon as possible. However, there's a protocol that is has to be followed. And I just remember, because the body was still there on the plane, and I was thinking, this is eerie to me. And what does this mean? And I took the tube back to my flat, and I just felt like I was in a fog, because I might have been, I don't know, 24, 25. I was, yeah, it was like first or second year in London. And I just was sad. And I was like, but I didn't personally know this person, and I saw death but I'm sad. And I remember sitting in my flat in my bed crying. And a friend of mine who's actually a therapist now, she's finishing her PhD. I probably called her in because she happened to call me, and she was in California. I was living in London, and she was like, "Hey, are you okay?" I said, "I'm glad you called, because you're like a practicing therapist. I'm feeling, this is what happened to me today." And I explained to her, and she said, "Oh yeah, Hope, grief, it doesn't matter that you did not have a personal connection with this person. You're still a human being, and you still saw a transition. And so you're processing it." And I said, okay, good to know. And so I went into a existential crisis where I was like, what is life? What is life to me? What is this experience for? What do I choose to use this experience for? And I chose to use that moment as that, as the question for, what is this for me? What is this experience for me? What am I growing? What am I growing into? What do I want to develop? What is it? If I can go at any time, what do I want this to be? And also being aware of the importance of mental health, especially in that moment. And it did, I believe now, because this was quite a while ago, I believe now it enabled me to be even more of a free spirit while living abroad. Because, listen, I was asked to find his contact details because when these things happen, everyone right now, go get your passport and fill out the emergency contact information. Because if something is to happen, that's where officials go. That's exactly what we did on the plane. I was tasked to, a doctor did come. That all of that came, but this was upon landing. So this wasn't during a flight. This was after a 11-hour flight. So all of those people, these medical professionals do come on board to take all of these measures. However, yeah, I allowed it to going into the person's backpack to retrieve their passport to see all of the things that they expected to do once they landed. That was the reminder. Like, no one plans for this. You're planning on life going a certain way and then something happens. But even what does not allowing that to prevent me from trying. Like, yes, if it goes like that, okay, how grand am I making this experience for me? And it also allowed me to appreciate life, appreciate time with others, to appreciate time within myself and what that means for me. And to allow that to teach me something. Because it's there to teach something. So the second time that happened, it was slightly different. However, again, it was that reminder of, what do you want to make this experience for you? And I find these moments pivotal and imperative. Instead of running from that and being afraid of that, saying, yeah, that is it. So what are we going to make this experience? This is it. This is it. It could go at any time. But are you really operating like it could go at any time? Or are you just saying, nah, I have X amount of time? You don't know how much time you have. You don't. So I often share about the emergency landing, which was my last perspective shift, where I was on a plane where the left engine went out and we made an emergency landing, and I allowed that to be my perspective shift. This is why you show up. Exactly. That was scary too, because it was like, wait a minute, you talk about living fully, but are you really? Are you really? This is that check-in point. How much more expanded can you make your expansion? Have you gotten comfortable? Have you relaxed? Are you just safe and it's okay? It's not bad. It's not the best, but it's okay. Nah, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want mediocre. I want what I want. And I always share this. When that plane, I did not go down in a fiery blaze because I'm here. However, that post-traumatic stress was real as well. Oh, what wedding, Mag? What wedding? And I asked myself, what was I fearing? What was I afraid of? Was I afraid of transitioning, the loss of life? No, I know that's going to happen. I was afraid that this voice wouldn't be heard. The Maui life wouldn't be seen. All of these things that I did. Because I said, that would have been my obituary. Hope, 15-year career flight attendant, period. And I knew I wanted, speaker, motivational speaker, TED speaker, all of these other things. But I just was afraid to take that courage to say, let's start. Yeah, you're welcome. That's why I share. Because I could have used that as, it's not worth it. You just go out, so just be safe. No, 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 no. This is how it affected me. And every time I chose to say, what does this mean for me? What is this saying about me? How can I use this to my benefit? How can I use this to share? What does this enlighten within me? Because if it's alarming, that means there's something I'm not doing. I'm not living. Because I live. I do really live. However, there we go. Nepal, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's easy to cradle in that comfort in life, which is okay. I don't see any of this as good or bad. But if there's an alarm within you that says, nah, there's more within me, then listen. Because it never gets quieter. It never gets, the volume never turns down. And I remember when I took the early retirement, I had said all the reasons why I was ready. And I had said, that feeling isn't going away. It's not going to get better. Flying's not going to get better. And this was during COVID. So there was really a gray cloud over the profession. So for me to expect that it will change, or it will feel different, or I will show up differently, or it's not going to. It's not. Accept that. So you can continue in the way that it is, or you can say, I am stepping into the courage of what's next. And that truly means stepping into courage. That truly means, I don't know how, but I will. I don't know how, and I have. I don't know how, and it is. Because it's not about the how. It's not about the how. When I started speaking on this live today, I spoke about the two different people. The person, me, that will rush onto the dance floor. And then there's always the person that says, man, I wish I could do that. And the only difference is one of us just acted on the motion of getting up out of the chair onto the dance floor, while the other allowed the volume in their mind of saying, you don't want it. Don't do that. Why? People will see you. You want people to see you. I don't. Turn that down and just act on that motion. Thank you, I am Frey. That's what I do. And it comes down to that. Are you willing to run to take the dance with life? Or are you going to sit at the table with the cheap wine and the chicken or pasta? Because it's up to you. You can take the chance and say yes to the courage, say yes to the motion, say yes just to the movement. Or nah, I don't want to, I don't want to be the first on the dance floor. This chicken's all right. This cheap wine's all right. I mean, I'm okay. I'll do the little lean and rock. Nah, you want to get up. You want to get up. So get up. And whenever, I'm always the first, I'm always the first to cut a little rug. Whenever I come back down to sit down, which ain't too long, because I'm going to be out there for real, someone will tap me and say, hey, I saw you run out there and dance. I wish I could do that. I really wanted to dance. And I look at them and I said, you don't have to wish. You have feet. Follow me. Come. That even that statement of I wish, you don't have to. You can just do. A wish is something that is imagined. The motion is in your control. You don't have to wish to eat a slice of pizza. You can just order the pizza. I wish I knew what that... In fact, that's like a pet peeve of mine. When people say, I wish I could... Don't wish. Just do it. You don't have to. I wish I knew how it feels to swim in a pool. Well, then go swim in a pool. You don't have to wish. That's an imagined thing. You can make it real. And think about that. Think about that. Really. The courage to go out on the dance floor, it's the courage to say yes, or the courage to stay in the seat and just wonder how it feels. And it always feels better on the dance floor. It always does. And no one wants to be the person watching. Why do you want to be the person watching people dance? Wondering, well, I bet that's fun. I bet that feels good. I bet it does too. So come out and dance. Come out and dance. Nah, not for me. Why? It's dancing. It feels good. It's like a tribal ceremonial dance. Come on. Like, I have a sister who dances not for the technical. I say she doesn't dance for the technical ability. She dances for fun. There's a difference. If you dance because you know how to dance, that's one thing. If you dance for fun, you don't really care if you're doing it on beat or anything. You're just dancing. Either way, get out there and dance. How often do you have those moments to dance? It's like I did a talk here that said, and I said, always take the cake. Because my neighbors would always bring me birthday cake or a celebration cake. Whenever you have a cake, it's typically for a celebration. Have a piece of cake. Have a piece of cake. People don't say, I'm getting a piece of cake because I got fired from my job, so I made this cake. No. Cake is typically done in times of celebration. So when someone offers you the cake, take it. Exactly. You gotta do a little dance when you eat good food. You should only be eating good food. And I know some of y'all aren't, but that's okay. That's okay. My sister had told me she was eating with my family earlier today, and she tried, all of it's the happy dance, all of it. She said, I tried something today that I don't think I'll try again. I said, what was it? She said, I tried a deep fried deviled egg. I said, well, unless you're under the age of 14 or over the age of 70, I don't know why you're eating a deviled egg. Because I don't... And I love my mom's deviled eggs, but I don't think I've had a deviled egg in years. Let alone a deep fried. That just sounds disgusting. That sounds gross. A deep fried deviled egg? Who thought of that? Of course it was a American. What's up? What's up, Melanin the goddess? However, I shared with her, I said, well, it was gross to you. I don't know. I don't know why she ate that. A deep fried deviled egg. I said it was gross to you, but it tastes good enough for someone to put it on a menu and keep it there, which means someone likes it and all exists. You may not like it. However, it's on the menu for a reason. Someone does. Both of those sides exists. I still won't be on the side to eat a deep fried deviled egg or a deviled egg, period. That's like eating ambrosia salad or something. Unless you're under the age of 12 or over, okay, we'll bring it down to like 60. That's like potluck food. And I don't do potlucks because I cook very well, but I don't know what y'all cooking. I don't know the cleanliness of y'all kitchens, so I prefer not to. If I'm at a potluck, I will eat the packaged stuff. But some of you think you can cook and you can't, and that's okay. Not most of my dishes are great. I am always working I'm always in a constant flow of increasing my culinary skills. However, I'm not going to eat everybody's food. And I'm not eating everybody's food. I don't even know what your intentions are with the food, okay? So, no. A deep fried deviled egg? Absolutely not. I don't want a deep fried anything. However, back to the dancing. Because it is courage. It takes courage to do anything. It takes courage to show up. It takes courage to give an apology. It takes courage to be honest with yourself. It takes courage to stand in your truth. It takes courage to continue every day. So if you're in that space of courage, be thankful for your courageousness, because it's an act of resilience. It's an act of strength. It's an act of individuality to say, I have the courage to be me. I have the courage to try this new endeavor that I've never tried, and that's uncomfortable. I have the courage to be honest with myself and say, this is something I got to work on, or this is a skill I seek to learn. It takes courage. That's a beautiful thing. However, question your courage. Am I really putting all the courage I can muster into this? Or have I just fallen back into what's most comfortable for me? Because those questions lead us to what's for us next, to what we can do, to what we can challenge ourselves to be. However, we got to ask ourselves. I had to ask myself in that moment, what does this mean for me? Am I going to use this as the catalyst of courage to live free, to travel more, to speak up more, to show up more, to be bold, to be the courage of being me, to change my hair, to change my wardrobe, to change? And figure out anything that comes with that, because that's a part of it. It's not one or the other. And I can guarantee you the journey itself is beautiful. That journey of saying, yeah, I got it. When I chose to speak professionally, I said, of course me. Why not me? Yeah, I'm betting on me. I'm taking my courage and I'm betting on me. Who else but me? Thank you. I won't, just because you said it, I won't. I'm not going to bet on an institution. I'm not going to bet on any academic efforts. I'm betting on me because I have always brought the results. You're welcome. And who else but me? And the power when you truly believe, like, nah, man, I'm betting on me. I don't know what y'all doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what I've done my entire life when I continuously show up and figure it out. And I've made it work. And I've mustered up strength. And I've dusted myself off. And I've gotten up. And I kept going. What that means to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I keep showing up. I keep proving myself to be the one. That's me. Who but me? Yeah, it is me. And truly possessing that, truly feeling that strength, truly walking with that. Doors open, people come. You start to believe it. And once you believe it, oh, well, the rest is already done. However, to truly stand in that courage is that act of going on the dance floor, hearing your music, hearing your rhythm, hearing your tune and saying, yeah, that's for me. I'm ready. I'm leaving the table. Y'all can sit here and eat this rubbery chicken and undercooked, under-seasoned green beans, and I'm going for something else. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to dance and smile and laugh and move my body, and I'm going. And you don't have to understand why. And because of the courage and the belief that I have in myself, I know that it's worth it. And I know I have the solution. And I know it's for me. So I got to leave y'all in the dust. Because what's for me is no longer at this table. What's for me is out there on the dance floor. And I see this hot girl. I think her name is Hope. And I want to go dance with her. Because she looks like the best dancer on the dance floor. Rubbery chicken deep fried. That's gross. Doesn't that, and Chardonnay. Yeah, that little cheap Chardonnay. See, Chardonnay is like the most basic white wine. However, whatever. I don't drink, so it doesn't matter. Thank you for the shoes, and thank you for the I am blue, I am frais. That's what it's about. It's about hearing what's for you. Hearing your melody, hearing your cadence. And I'm reminded of another creator, Cadence, here on the app because I love that name, Cadence. Hearing something that's for you. Knowing it's calling you. Like music. Saying yes. Leaving a table that you've already prepared for yourself to know there's something new for me. How good that feels. Only if you know how to dance the Punisher, because if you don't, I'm not going to continue to dance with you. Mag knows I will leave. I am my favorite, and I will continue to say this because it's a strong belief in me. This experience is about me. If you don't know how to dance, I'm not going to stick around so you don't feel bad. I'll just do you can just do this and back up and, and then I'll do a little turn and go somewhere else. However, I'm not just going to dance if you ain't dancing right. I will leave. Possibly just dance in my own little circle. However, that's what I deserve. That's what I deserve. And I truly believe we we deserve to give each other what we deserve for us. Meaning, I know what I want. Go get it. If it's no longer for me, I'll leave it alone. Not every song, Mag. Even that. Being honest. Let people know. Hey, if you don't know how to dance, I'm going to leave you. Not leave you, but I will. I am quite content dancing on my own. I love it. But I'm not going to stand there and dance with you so you don't feel sad or something. I don't know if you would even think that. The courage to dance, the courage to show up, the courage to just create what is for you. That may be your lifesaver. That may be the light that you need in a moment. And it may be what someone else needs to see. Because exactly, that's me too. I would do cartwheels. I told you when they would call me Hope Champagne, I would do the moonwalk a lot on the bar. I'm a kick in the pants. However, I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to enjoy this experience. And I enjoy it through these experiences that I've shared with you. The emergency landing, the passengers that transitioned. It allowed me to say, this is for me to truly enjoy in every way. Because it will end. I treat it as it will end. Because it will. People will say, Hope really lived. If anyone comes to my transition service, it's going to be a dance. I want people laughing and smiling and talking about all the good times we had, or she told me the story and we were laughing. That's what I'm on. I'm not on anything else outside of that. If you have nonsense, I'll just walk away from you. You know, I can easily walk away from nonsense. However, the courage to say I'm showing up to dance, I'm dancing. I'm not sitting at the table with the rubbery chicken because what's for me is no longer here. That courage, maybe that's what life is made out of. I'm definitely going to dance. Okay, I'm definitely going to dance. And, yeah, maybe I'll go dance tonight. Maybe I'll just cut a little rug. Sometimes you just need to cut a little rug. And all of my lives, I have uploaded every live onto my YouTube at Hope is Speaking. So I shared this, Mag, I am Frey. Some of the others that regularly join my lives know I go live regularly. Thank you. Yes, it does. I'm all about that positivity. Dance with you tonight. Where am I going to dance with you at? I do show up. I don't have a specific time. As I said, I do what I want. However, if you don't catch me on my live here on TikTok, I will put this live up on my YouTube page by tomorrow. And all of my lives are on my YouTube page, which is Hope is Speaking. You can go to the daily TikTok lives. It's there. I have meditations and affirmations. And if you don't find me on live here, which is the best place to find me, you can just go to my YouTube and you can watch. They're almost like podcasts because they're all at least an hour. Some of them are like 3 hours. However, You can check out my YouTube. It is all of my lives. Hope is speaking. And this is what I do. I come and share my colorful life, and I weave it into a message, an uplifting story. As I say, this space is only positivity, fun, engagement, enlightenment, enterprising, fun times. And I love doing this. I love speaking and encouraging and weaving these stories into a message. And that's what I do. And that's what I will be doing on the TED stage on October 7th. And I will continue to share the other things that are developing. Otherwise, I'm here live, and I love going live on TikTok because I love the community. I love my hopefuls, like really Mag and I Am Frey, Detroit Sean, NY Nick one. There's a few people that have just been on the live since I started going live maybe 4 months ago. It hasn't been that long. I was just looking at how long I've actually been doing daily lives, and I love y'all. October 5th. Okay. Libra, that's what's up. No, Libra. I'll give you a birthday shout out. I'm here to encourage, and that is what I create. That's the content I create. Hope is speaking because I am speaking. However, it's a double entendre, probably a triple. Hola. Yes. And now you see me, Paulina. It's good to see you, and I'm always glowing. Listen, I'm gonna be outside. I'm outside for real. I love this, and you see the new setup, so you can hear me clearly. And that's what it is. That's what it is. I always close with, be the reflection of love because we all come from an infinite source of love. Show up. Make it look good when you show up. You know, I got the little bows. And choose to be courageous. Thank you. You know, I've had this for like years. This will be another speech. I've had all of my professional recording equipment for years. We'll speak about that tomorrow. Everything. Because I have a few mics. I have my Focusrite. I have everything. Thank you. Yeah, the TED Talk. I know. I'm still walking in it. It's exciting. And you will learn more. So yes, the TED Talk. I am a official TED speaker. I'm so excited. Be the reflection of love because we all come from an infinite source of love. Show up. Make it look good when you show up. And choose courage. Get up from that table with that nasty warm wine, that rubbery under-seasoned chicken, and those undercooked frozen vegetables, and go dance. Take the courage to do a little jig with something new in life. And I'll be right there with you because I'm always going to be getting down, honey. And I get low, okay? I get low. Yeah, let's get to 20K. So, yes, I am Frey. I have had this mic. I have another mic. I've had a few mics because, oh, you did? Well, I'm not going to be in the club. No, I retired from that a long time ago. But you can do the club in your house. At this point, or I'll go outside and dance on the grass. Yeah, then go home. And dance. And dancing doesn't need to be in the club. Do people dance in the club? I didn't think they did that anymore. I don't know. When I used to be in the club, they did. I loved a club. That's the other thing. I had been in the club since I would sneak out with my sister. Um, yes, to you. Maybe 15 or 16. These little 18 and over clubs in the small town I'm from. But I would sneak out and go to the club. And so I had probably a good 10, 12 years in the club. Then because my sister is 3 years older than me, when she turned 18, or when she turned 21, she gave me her ID. So she had her driver's license and her ID, and we look similar. So I had her ID that said I was 21 since I was 18. Yeah. Um, a nice club moment sometimes is nice, but no longer. Now it's too loud. Yay! 20K! This is great. So the club days. Oh, I should tell you why I just retired from all of that. So I used to go out a lot, and I had a lot of friends within music industry, fashion industry, entertainment. So we would. Oh, I understand that. Listen. That's lovely to have a nice someone's grown son to dance on you. That's fantastic. I appreciate that. So I would often go to industry events with friends, and that is fun. The energy is different with different creatives. However, once I start traveling, then I would really go out. But traveling and going out, I was in my early 20s, throughout my 20s, so I wouldn't get tired. But we would like fly somewhere. Let's say we would fly to LA, have a layover, meet people, stay out all night, go back, take a shower, fly to New York, go out that night, fly to Miami. Like we would do this for, it seemed like, weeks, where I wouldn't sleep. I would be flying places, going out at night, and I don't believe I could do that now at all. At all. I love my sleep. And I remember getting to a point because, yeah, it feels good to be recognized by someone who's recognizable, but so what? Or drinking expensive champagne. That I will never deny. I do like a nice champagne. However, you still feel hungover in the morning. And going to these events where my friends would see about them on the internet, and I would say, "No, I was there last night. It was cracking." It just turns into still going out. I'm tired. The music is loud. It doesn't matter who's here. I want to go to sleep. And that was the point where I realized, like, this doesn't serve me anymore. And I even asked myself, because I would drink a lot. I am a kick in the pants. So why have a glass of champagne if you can have like 6 bottles of champagne? However, yeah, is this really serving me? Do I actually like doing this? I'm active. I at that time would run 5 miles in the morning. Usually I would black out and puke all of the alcohol I would drink, so it wouldn't be in my system. So I could get up and run in the morning. However, that doesn't really feel good. So I made a decision, like, this doesn't serve me. This isn't fun. I I'm trying to top these events that I won't be able to top them. What is the point of all of this? What am I gaining from this? I know I'm losing sleep. I know I'm losing like my hearing because it's loud. I don't like doing this. So I just stopped. And I did drink a lot. And within aviation, I think this is within any profession, because any profession, alcohol is very easy just to go home, close your door, and possibly abuse it. It's so accepted in culture to drink alcohol and to get off of work and to drink a bottle of wine or to have a spirit. It's just an acceptable thing. What I learned in aviation is I had met colleagues that actually had alcohol addiction issues and seeing that outside, like if they didn't have a drink, their hands were shaking, or like I never saw them drink while flying, but as soon as they got off the flight, they would have to drink. And what that meant, and how acceptable just alcohol is in culture. And then I would say, why do I need to be drunk? Like, am I drunk because I don't want to be around these people? Or do I just feel uncomfortable? Is this not aligning with who I am? Like, asking myself, when I speak of courage, actually asking myself, this is why I don't care to drink, or why I'm not out unless it's like a private event or an event. I'm not just going out to the club. No. Why? I'm going to sleep. Typically, by 8 o'clock, I have a hot mug of tea, and I'm going to rest because that serves me and that feels good. I remember I had went out with someone notable, and it didn't matter to me if you were someone notable, recognizable, or not. You're still just a dude. You're just a guy. There's nothing that special about you from anybody else. And I went out with this guy, and I drank a lot because I was actually with a different guy at a hotel bar in London. And we were having some champagne, and I was like, this dude is like, he's going to drink and get tired, and he's going to go to his hotel room and go to sleep because he was there. He had office dealings in London. But the great thing was, after a few drinks, I knew he would want to go to sleep, which is great, because then I see somebody else. I see someone else. So as soon as you go to sleep, then I can, go talk to someone else. So we were drinking champagne, and I see someone else in the hotel bar. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So if I time this out right, this guy is going to go to his room and go to sleep. Then I'm going to come back down and talk to oh boy. So I had asked the person I came to meet. I had asked him about his driver, his car, to take me back to my flat in London. So we went to the concierge, and he asked the concierge, can you call the driver to see where they are? And the driver was in traffic. And so I said, okay, cool. So I had no idea, but who I was there with, he had talked to the other person that I was eyeing earlier in that day or during his stay at the hotel. So on our way from the concierge back to the hotel restaurant, my date stopped at the other person's table because this person is a actor. And he said, do you mind if we sit and have a drink with you while she waits for her car? And I didn't know he had talked to him. They had already had some sort of interaction. They had met each other. So I thought he was just going up to this random celebrity's table like, what are you doing? And so the person at the table said, we're having a drink. And he looks at me and he says, but after you guys finish your drink, you should come back. You should come back and sit. And I was like, bingo. So I went, finished the champagne with the date, walked him to his room, came back down. Then, so I was already like, I might have been 2 bottles of champagne in. Because with me and him, a bottle of champagne is what? Maybe 2, 4. I was probably 4 to 5, maybe 6 glasses of champagne in. This was several hours. So I go sit at the table with said person. And we start talking, and it was great. And he was there with his assistant and his so-and-so and so-and-so. I don't know who all these people were. I was already drunk at the time. So we start ordering more champagne and more drinks. And he had said, hey, I have a table at this club. I'm going to go later. I said, sure. Okay, well, then I'll see you there. He said, are you sure I'm going to see you? Yes, you're going to see me. Okay, bye. So the driver came with the car. Come on, Peso. Come on. Come on, Peso. Come on. Come on. So this is where things get a bit fuzzy because I had drank a lot of champagne, but I had a driver who was going to take me home. But I told the driver not to take me home, to take me to one of my best girlfriend's houses. Now, it was like 2 in the morning, and this was in London, and there's clubs that are open till 4 and past. So I'm in the car, and when I drink a lot, I turn into like a gangster for some reason. So I called my friend like, yo, I'm in the car. I'm coming to get you right now. And she's like, what? Hope? What? Like it was 2 in the morning. I have this driver. I've turned into P. Diddy after all of the champagne. And how I talk changes. So I called my beautiful friend like, yo, we going to the club right now. I'm in the car right now. I'm coming to get you right now. She was like, oh, okay. She just starts instinctively getting up, getting dressed. At the time, she lived in a flat with like 6 other girls. And so the driver pulls up to her flat. It's 2 in the morning. And I was like, yo, open the door. I'm outside. She buzzes the door open. And she's like, oh, keep quiet because everyone else is asleep. I'm drunk. I'm like, okay, slam the door like boom. It was ridiculous. So I said, okay, he got the table. We going right now. We got the driver outside. What you want? I mean, I turned into like Funk Master Flex. It's a good time. So we get in the car. Again, it's 2 a.m. We go to the club where said actor is or said person. And all of the champagne I had been drinking is firmly pulsing through my system. And I'm in my DJ voice like, yeah, we here. We in the building. Like, it was ridiculous. But times with hope. So we walk in and we go to the person's table. He's like, you came? I'm like, yeah, I'm here. my friend is like, why are you talking like that? So now the alcohol has changed. It is no longer champagne. It is now that nasty club vodka, orange juice, cran apple, gross. But I'm going to drink it. So I've switched from champagne to like nasty concentrate orange juice and vodka, which you don't want to mix. But I did. And I'm a lightweight. I'm small. Okay? So club is loud. I'm drinking this OJ and vodka after bottles of champagne. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to pass out. Because I just drink and drink and drink. And so I tell my friend, I'm going to the loo. I'm going to the bathroom. From her perspective, about 10 minutes later, security guard comes and taps her on the shoulder. She turns around, like, let me guess, skinny, black girl. Okay. I did end up passing out in the bathroom after throwing up with my bottoms at my ankles. You see, this is why I stopped drinking, because this is ridiculous. This was actually my life. And I won't say the name of the person, but if I did, most people would be like, you did what? So I was passed out in the club bathroom with my trousers down. I don't know if I was attempting to pee and I just passed out and threw up. I don't know. All I knew was someone was picking one arm up and someone was picking the other arm up, because I could no longer be in the establishment in the condition that I was currently in. And so the security guard said, yeah, she must leave. She said, okay, well, we came with some people, but we don't want to go past that table. Is there another exit we can go past so we don't see the people that we were here with? And he's like, yeah. The path he took us on took us right in front of the guy's table. And so he was like, I'm like, bye. And I'm just being carried out. And do you see why I started questioning why I drank? Those stories helped me get to a point of me saying, yeah, I no longer need this in my life. And then I woke up at my friend's house with like a shower cap on and like random stuff. And it's fun. It was also, there's also an element of my safety, because I was always around people that we were always looking out and checking in on each other. So I was always in a safe space. However, you don't want to pass out in a bathroom with your trousers at your ankles and be carried out. Or you could. I mean, you still live. I lived through it. But what it taught me is it's time to see if I really need to be doing this, which I don't. So you got another story out of me. And this is why I am Hope. This is why Hope is speaking, and this is why I speak. Again, closing, be the reflection of love, because we all come from an infinite source of love. Show up. Make it look good when you show up. Have the courage to dance. And if you throw up and pass out, it's okay. Because luckily for you, you have a friend that will carry you out. I will see everyone tomorrow. Go subscribe to my YouTube page, Hope is Speaking. And I love you all. I hope I made you laugh. I hope I gave you some courage, and I just hope to continue to be hope. Good night. Good night, Lee.